You made it to week 6 of 6 weeks to burn. This is my personal favorite, leg springs. So with leg springs, it's really important that you set yourself up properly, okay? So you begin a few feet away from the board, roll back slowly, and the first thing you do is you look up at the numbers, and you want to make sure that your head lines up with the numbers because that is your center point. You grab onto your foot bar and you can press a full arm's distance to make it more challenging, or a little bit less challenging, it's just a half arm's distance away from the board. You can choose to hold onto your foot bar the whole time, or you can bring your arms down at your sides with your palms down or your palms up. So the next thing you do is you look up at your springs, you take the spring on the right, or on your right, and you put it in the very center of your right foot, okay? Not too high, not too low, right in the center. And then you take the spring on the left, let it in, let it on. And now you're ready to begin. So next we're going to talk about the way that our spine fits on the mat. We practice neutral spine here at Burn, which means that your shoulders and your hips are on the mat and your side body really melts in, and you engage your core to make this happen. You never want to try to push your spine into the mat, and you also don't want to let your spine arch. So there's no tucking and there's no arching. We try to stay as neutral as possible. The way you do that is by engaging your core. So when you lower your legs, you inhale and you stop before your lower back arches. And you exhale to lift, stopping before your tailbone comes up off the mat. So inhale to lower and exhale to lift. If your feet come too low, you'll notice that your lower back arches and your rib cage flare. So you want to exhale to lift, inhale to lower, and know that everyone's range of motion is very, very different. If you've been doing Burn for a while, you can press out further, and you want to try to come all the way up to 90, keeping that tailbone on the mat. So don't cheat yourself. Come down to your lowest point while remaining in neutral spine, but try to lift a little bit further up. So next we'll talk about the 3 different foot positions that we use in leg springs at Burn. Parallel essentially means that the insides of your feet are together, and your knees are together or as close together as you can get them. And your legs remain parallel on the way down and on the way up. External rotation means that you turn your toes out and you keep your heels together. And you don't need to turn up too much, okay? Just to 11 and 1 or 10 and 2. And you remain externally rotated the whole time. And then finally is an internal rotation, which means you draw the big toes in and let the heels come apart. And again, this doesn't have to be really extreme. It can be very, very moderate in terms of your internal rotation. Inhale to lower, exhale to lift. And next we're going to focus on pace. You want to keep your inhale and your exhale very, very consistent. A lot of times people will come down very, very slowly and then they'll come up way too fast. And you're really cheating yourself if you do that. The slower you go, the more mindful you'll be able to be, and the more that you'll find that this really is a full body movement. So slowing down will help you get deeper into the movement, it'll help you regulate your breath, and it'll feel a lot more challenging. So while most of the movements that we do in leg springs are slow and consistent and super, super challenging, there are a few that we do that are also challenging but much faster. And the one thing that you want to make sure that you're doing while you're doing the faster movements is that you're keeping your torso heavy and engaged on the mat. And that all comes from the core. So if you're doing flutters, for example, if you let it get too out of control, you're going to bounce on the mat. So if you're bouncing on the mat and if one hip or one cheek is coming up, that's your cue that you're going too fast and you need to slow it down a little bit, reset, and then increase your pace, okay? There's also running and walking. But again, you have to make sure that your torso stays very, very still. And as long as you do that and you keep your pace on the way down and the way up consistent, you can go as fast as you like. So I want to finish talking about the different numbers that you can choose when you're in leg springs. We generally start at 4. If you need more of a challenge, you go up to 5. And if it's too challenging, you can go down to number 3. That doesn't mean that 5 is advanced and 3 is not advanced. It's just different levels of resistance, different angles on the board. The way that you will know if you're in the right position is if you reach out a full arm's distance, okay, and you're able to really get your legs long without arching and lift all the way up to 90, still feeling resistance on the spring and still feeling challenged. So if your full range of motion feels really challenging in 4, you definitely want to stay there. If you're having trouble keeping a long range of motion, and this is as much as you can do, for example, you're going to want to bring your springs down to number 3. You want to have a decent range of motion in your springs. And then if you find that you're trying to go longer and further because it's not hard enough, you really want to bring it up to 5. Ideally, everyone can come up to 90 and down about 3/4 of the way and then right back up to 90 with all of our different movements. And if you're not sure, just experiment or ask your teacher and you can find the right one.